This is the Washington Times front page for Tuesday, January 9th, 2024. Thanks for joining us. I'm George Gerbo. The furor over the undisclosed illness and hospitalization of Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin shows no signs of subsiding as the White House has announced plans for a review of the incident. Mike Glenn and Mallory Wilson report the typically publicity-shy Austin has upset the White House, faced bipartisan criticism on Capitol Hill, and sparked a formal protest from the Pentagon's press corps for failing to reveal his lengthy hospital stay. Deputy Secretary of Defense Kathleen Hicks, the effective acting Secretary of Defense for 2 days last week, didn't know that her boss was in intensive care at Walter Reed National Military Medical Center in Bethesda, Maryland, after suffering complications from an undisclosed elective medical procedure. The White House said the administration will review what rules or procedures were violated to keep Austin's medical problems a secret. Austin said he accepted responsibility for the breakdown, but that's done little to quell the controversy. Analysts say the surge in political violence, threats, and attacks is a bipartisan phenomenon. Jeff Murdoch reports those who study the issue say both parties of America's increasingly hostile politics have plenty of culpability. Last year, at least 250 people were criminally charged in connection with political violence, according to Justice Department data. Roughly 40 people were killed in incidents linked to politics, according to a separate study by Reuters. Pope Francis has called for an international ban on surrogacy, calling the practice deplorable. In a foreign policy address to diplomats from the Vatican, religion reporter Mark Kellner reports the Pope said surrogacy represents a grave violation of the dignity of the woman and the child based on the exploitation of situations of the mother's material needs, adding, "A child is always a gift and never the basis of a commercial contract." Surrogacy involves either the artificial insemination of a gestational mother or the implantation of fertilized eggs in a woman who agrees to be the carrier. It provides a path to parenthood for those who have struggled to conceive and for same-sex couples and individuals who are unable to conceive on their own. There have been long-standing ethical concerns around surrogacy, including whether the practice is exploitative. A House committee examining the government's handling of the COVID-19 pandemic questioned Dr. Anthony Fauci behind closed doors Monday, but lawmakers said he couldn't remember many details about his advocacy of lockdowns and mask mandates. Susan Ferricchio and Mallory Wilson report Ohio Republican and committee chair Brad Wenstrup said Fauci drew a blank on many of the details lawmakers sought. Wenstrup did not offer greater detail about Fauci's responses, but said the committee plans to question him further. It was Fauci's first appearance in the House since he retired from public office a year ago, and the first of 2 days he'll spend with the House Select Committee on the coronavirus pandemic. As chief medical advisor and head of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases, he led the pandemic response under Presidents Trump and Biden. And finally, MIT President Sally Kornbluth is the last standing of the 3 university presidents who gave disastrous testimony at a December 5th House hearing on campus anti-Semitism. Valerie Richardson reports the university's governing body has stood behind her despite some flare-ups on campus, including a donor revolt led by Jewish alumni and the abrupt resignation of a noted computer scientist over anti-Semitism. Kornbluth herself is Jewish and regarded as a longtime supporter of the Jewish community, including the campus group Hillel. She also has the backing of the MIT Alumni Association Board of Directors and dozens of department heads. Find all today's front page stories at WashingtonTimes.com/front page or on the Washington Times app, and find us wherever you get your podcast. Just search Washington Times in your favorite podcast app. You can also find us on social media at Wash Times for breaking news, sports, commentary, and more. For the Washington Times, I'm George Gerbo.